And here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Roger, roll, Atlantic. Doubling up.
Did he just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, you know.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly! Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No! Oh my god.
Yikes. You bet. Sure. We don't need any more of these.
Well, hello everybody. It's Ship 30 same time, which I can't do. I can't multitask, but it's a big milestone for Flight 12. That's the most important thing. This is Ship 39 rolling to Masseys for cryo, but this is the big milestone for it, checking its integrity before it then roll back and receives its engines. And of course, we've got Booster 19 as its partner in crime for Flight 12, which has been cryo tested and is now receiving its engines inside Mega Bay 1. So it's all getting closer and closer. We're still a while away from launch, but at least these are milestones that are ticking off towards it. So talk about this rollout. We're joined by, as I scroll down to find out, Alex. Alex, top of the list, of course. Hello, Alex.
Yeah, top of the list. That's what I get for starting with an A, I guess. Yeah, first version 3 ship finally going to Masseys. How about that?
Indeed. We're also joined by Max. Hello, Max.
Good afternoon, everybody. Yes, Ship 39 has finally come out to play after a long, long wait, but there is still a bit of work left for it to do, but hopefully that all begins now.
How's it going? Yeah, it's got no engines. Yeah, I know everyone's gonna ask why it's on this stand. We're definitely gonna cover that here during the stream. Space moment, so they're finally rolling it out. It's nice to finally see a Block 3 ship roll out.
Indeed it is. But let's talk about that. By the way, if you've got any questions, all you got to do is do @NASA Spaceflight or NSF. Those are 2 options to do. Then your question, then send it. And that means while trying to scrolling as fast as it's scrolling right now, you'll notice that we can go back to questions that were asked 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes ago because they're in the panel, as we call it. And we can click on it and it'll show at the bottom of the screen with the question as we answer the question. So if you've got any questions, do it that way. But I think we'll talk about that first, Ryan, because I think that is something that a lot of people tend to ask for these rollouts for cryo testing is, what is this testing involved? What are they going to do at Masseys with this vehicle?
So this is kind of a unique one. SpaceX does not have this ship on the normal thrust sim stand where they would hook actuators up to the 3 sea level points and the 3 Raptor vacuum engine points on the thrust puck, and then the Raptor thrust and verify the aft dome welds good and everything else is good to go. Right now, it's not sitting on that stand to do that. It is sitting on the static fire stand, which also has a work platform under it. Now, there are no RVAC even supports on this thing. So usually on this stand, they have supports on it to attach, RVAC braces. That's not even on this stand right now. So there are definitely no engines on this thing. They still have to cryo it. And what SpaceX is since Ship 36, that was way back in the end of June when that explosion happened last year.
Rip.
So finally I have a ship back on that point, and they're going to commission the new tank farm. They'll likely do a quick cryo with it because they can do LN2 on that stand. Then they'll probably, I'd say they commission the tank farm. They'll actually load methane onto it and wouldn't be that surprised after they do a cryo. And then there's some chopstick squeeze testing they're going to do, as well as some flap testing that they're going to do with that new truss structure they've got. So that's what's in store for this ship. And then maybe they roll it back and put it on a thrust sim stand, roll it back out, and then do that. But SpaceX is basically just trying to get some kind of testing done rather than waiting for the new crab stand with thrust sims to be ready. They're going to roll it out on this and try to get some data because, well, ship's kind of behind at this point.
Yeah, it is. We're just waiting for it to enter the road. We do have close-up cameras for that part. Oh, hello. That was weird. Carson's producing, by the way. I never thanked the producer. I'm notorious for it. I was just reminded by that little transition there to this fancy close-up camera provided by Caesar, where we can get the enhanced views. And thanks to producer Carson for transitioning to that close-up view there. Yeah, I'm terrible for that. I'm notorious for just reading the list and just reading the commentators out. I don't know why. Also, a little programming note is may have a little bit of a sideshow going on with this roll, because while this is hopefully rolling down Highway 4, we are going to be providing views of CRS-33, the cargo dragon, undocking from the ISS. And you'll have the glorious tones of Ryan Caton talking about that one. So that is coming up. There's a view from Sen, our partner Sen, who have a fixed payload on the ISS, a 4K camera. They're actually planning to launch another one, which is a steerable camera, which would be amazing because obviously with the different docking ports, you probably do need a steering camera. But this is a view we'll get hopefully when it's not dark and when they've got the lighting as well. Because remember, the ISS is passing around the planet every 90 minutes, so you're going to have day dawn. It's quite crazy. But we'll have that undocking coming up in about an hour, I think it is, away from undocking. So that will be a little bonus show during this stream itself as well. But yeah, we are just waiting now for, hopefully, Ship 39 entering Highway 4. The police cars are there. Everything is set. The drone's been up. Everything is ready to go. So we are just literally waiting for that point in time where it descends the road. Alex, I'm having a lot of questions about this stand. There's a lot of stand fans. I'll take this one from Lev, Alex. Will Ship 39 get an aft structure verification test after this, or will they skip the test because Ship 39.1 is on the cryo test stand?
Well, we're not sure, right? This is one of those things that we cannot say definitely, because they could do like a partial cryo or some kind of early cryo testing of sorts, right? To sort of leak check and proof check the vehicle and the tanks and whatnot. And then later on, once the stand is ready, then they can maybe go out there and do the actual thrust simulator part of the testing. So we're not sure, but if they want to fly Flight 12 soon, which according to CEO Elon, he really wants this to fly soon, right? We've seen that already a few times. So if they really want to fly soon, I'm guessing they're probably going to be skipping that part of the testing and go from cryo to just...
I finally got to do it to you, Alex. I finally got to do it to you, Alex. Finally. For the first time in years, I managed to interrupt Alex during an answer. Normally it's the other way around. It is entering the road.
Oh my God. Stream
There
made.
you go. I was about to finish, to be honest.
Keep going, Alex. Sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say that if they really want to launch this as soon as possible, then I can see them skipping thrust simulator stand testing. You know, the whole thing that Ryan told about before, where they put these rams under the ship and they test the forces of the simulate the forces of the Raptors against the different points of connections to the ship at the bottom, either to the dome or to the new thrust pack and all that stuff. So it really does look like they may skip that. But I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to take a little bit more time. So we'll see. Speaking of seeing things,
I hope they don't skip it, because and we can talk about seeing things as they move the dome down.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Because we can see new things here. For example, you can see to the right, now it's going to be covered. There's the aft flap right in the aero cover there, deep there, sort of on the side of the ship. There are new engine chill lines, which is really interesting, that go to the liquid oxygen tank as well. Yeah, there's been a few changes there on just the engine section, of course. Now they have Raptor 3 engines. They have expanded the tanks. For example, the dome sits a little bit lower so that they can gain a bit more of propellant capacity. And the RVAC engines will be recessed into the liquid oxygen.
Hinge, and for anyone who thinks that might be an issue when it comes to reentry, hinge seal is not installed yet. Usually they do that like near the end, so that's why there's that gap there still. We can see there's now gap filler basically on almost the entire
It looks really
shield
good
now. It looks good. I will say this, and this is gonna be kind of funny since we got Chris here. SpaceX is making Starship more and more like shuttle one way. and that way is because they keep going away from having a singular hex tile for as many places as they can. Their flat fairings and other places, there's a lot of single-use tiles that are only used in like 2 spots in the entire ship. So they're definitely going to more and more.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44, a complete AI creation platform.
It has its pros and cons, but basically with that, they're also able to pin every single tile. So they're really the only places that, if I remember correctly, that are still glued are, I think there's a couple of locations on the flaps themselves or on the fairings, but really just the tip of the nose cone is about the only place that's left that's actually glued. Just about everything else is pinned, which is a gigantic improvement over the past.
And Chris, you probably know that the shuttle tiles used to be glued, right? Like they were not physically attached to the vehicle. They were
this pinning is completely alien to what the shuttle was. It was literally were. If you see old pictures, if I knew about this, I'd have prepared it for Carson. But if you looked at photographs in the OPFs when the shuttle came back from its flight, they would literally have workers underneath the belly of the orbiter gluing replacement tiles on, and those replacement tiles would be black compared to the more grayer through re-entry tiles that were there, and they would create a fingerprint on the belly of the orbiter, and us shuttle fans would know which orbiter was which just from that pattern of black and grey tiles where they basically had like a fingerprint. You could tell which one was which, and of course Columbia was the oldest shuttle, and Discovery was also one which had lots of replacement black tiles because it had been through several flights. So it's something where I'm looking at this TPS now, and it is perfectly great. I'd be fascinated to see what it looks like after several returns and catches and see if we have that same kind of pattern building, because it might be the case. But with them being pinned on, maybe they're designed to be permanent. And you think about it, Max, I'll bring Max in on this one. With Starship being designed to be rapidly reusable, which the Space Shuttle never was, they won't be looking to be replacing tiles. They'll be hoping the heat shield stays in place and is pretty much ready to go again straight away. So we won't really be expecting a ship to be returned, caught, and then having tiles replaced, will we?
I mean, that's the ultimate goal in making sure that these ships are able to be reused rapidly. It takes a lot of time to roll a ship back to Mega Bay 2 or Gigabay at that point as well to have 39 from what we can see. It takes a lot of time, and on the left hand side of your screen here are some technicians I believe working on some tiles. Is that the body flap of the orbiter?
Looks
there?
like it, right?
Flap,
the main
maybe,
body.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But either way, it takes a lot of time, and it takes away from how quickly the ship can be turned around and flown again. But from the drone imagery that SpaceX released after Flight 11, actually, despite that, it seemed like that there was a bit of a hole in the LOX tank on ship, but that was also in an area where there was a little, I think tiles were removed from that area. But overall, the TPS looked really, really, really good. And I'm sure that the TPS engineers and technicians on the ground were very happy to see that and finally have some good TPS data from a good ship reentry and splashdown. So yeah, ultimately that will save a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of cost. But so far it looks pretty good, and the TPS, as we have seen so far on ship 39, looks as good as we have ever seen it. And I feel like we've also been saying that for the last 2 or 3 ships, or even 4 ships that we've seen roll out so far. So it's been gradual improvements in TPS installation and alignment to this point. And ultimately, it needs to be for ship to do what SpaceX wants it to do, both in low Earth orbit and, well, I guess not on the moon, because there isn't an atmosphere on the moon. But to get to do what for ship to do what SpaceX wants it to do, is certainly a heavy requirement.
Yep, I just like the traffic jam behind ship 39 right now. Sorry, I'm late for work. I got stuck behind a spaceship. It's really cool. One thing I want to do is a shuttle story and a shuttle related question. But I want to thank some people first, because I've just looked at the panel. Now I'm hosting. I tend to be diverted to watch the live stream itself, but I then look back at the panel and there's all this support. Absolutely bonkers. Let me read everybody out, because your support makes these things happen. We've literally got people out there with their own cameras. Caesar, for example, Clean's out there. Gage's been out there as well. And we've got our cameras in our permanent positions. This is not us restreaming SpaceX or something. SpaceX aren't live streaming this. We're just talking over it. No. It's original content, this. And that costs money. So when your support comes in, it means the world, because it means we can do more of it. There we go. Everybody's happy. Jeff Roybo, that's his real name, has gifted 1 Red Team membership. Mika Originals gifted Red Team membership. Revhead's gifted 5 Red Team memberships. John Mr. Coffee, another regular, has gifted a Red Team membership. Mike Alpha Tango Sierra, which is Matt's, has gifted 10 Red Team memberships. Flipper's gifted 10 Red Team memberships. Bloody hell. Doug has gifted a Red Team membership. Dino has done a subtract saying, thanks for the amazing 62 months. Oh, you've been a member 62 months. Wow. Money well donated. Question, could you please share what you know is new on Block 3 compared to Block 2? Hold that thought. We'll come back to it. I'll do my short story first.
Oh boy, that'll take a while.
Right. I'll leave it there. I will read the rest out. There's one from Anthony, but I'm going to put your name on thing, but I want to leave that question in there because I'll come back to it. I have a question about the TPS on ship, Ryan. Do they use gap fillers?
So the gap filler they use is the felt. So the crunch wrap they talk about is felt. It's like a felt material, and they basically cut it like a crunch wrap. For anyone who's seen what a crunch wrap looks like Taco Bell or whatever, they literally fold it up and cover the sides of each hex, and then they do the same thing to the next hex near it, and the next, and the next, and the next, and then you basically get a folded felt gap filler rather than using like RTV, which is rubberized it's like rubber vulcanized this like paste kind of thing. It basically can harden into like a seal. So they don't use that anymore like they used to. They use this felt to basically gap fill just about everything along the tank side. I guess there is still some RTV they use on the flaps, especially the flap hinges and whatnot. So there still is a little bit there, but it's mostly the felt on the main tank walls.
Yeah, because I remember seeing that little clip from Mr. Beast where the play with some TPS towels, which I thought was a bit risky, but there we go. And it did look like a more solid system, if I can call it that way, because my shuttle story is they would literally have these almost like rectangular strips that would enter between the tiles, and they had a problem where they would sometimes protrude. Now, that wasn't deemed a problem until STS-107 was lost, and then they became extremely concerned about anything on the TPS, which rightly so. And on STS-114, the return to flight, they had an issue where one of the gap fillers protruded at the nose of Discovery, and they literally did not want to come back with just that sticking out. So they took Steve Robinson on the end of the RMS, the Shuttle Robotic Manipulator System. Wow, put your teeth back in, Chris. and they took him to the belly of the orbiter and pulled it out on a live stream. It was amazing. And Steve Robinson goes, "This big patient is now cured." I remember that to this day. It was amazing. Right, Alex, guess what? It's that question time again. So the question is, could you please share what you know is what is new on ship Block 3 compared to Block 2?
Well, there are a few changes, and I'm probably going to need help from Ryan here because there's a lot. But I'm going to overview some of what I think are the biggest ones, which are, for example, tanks, engines, and heat shield / catching, right? So, for example, engines, of course, it's using Raptor 3, right? The engines themselves are also attached, especially the RVAC engines are attached differently because the RVAC engines, as we mentioned before, they are recessed into the tank. So that, and that is because that's another change as well for the tanks themselves, that the liquid oxygen tank, the bottom of that tank, it sits a little bit lower, and also the shapes of these domes. I think the shape itself of the dome has also changed a bit compared to the previous version, and that means it is able to fit a little bit more of the propellant by changing just where the middle bulkhead, sort of the separating bulkhead between the methane and the liquid oxygen, is. It also went down a little bit as well, and by doing that, they're able to fit. I think it's an extra to the size of the ship. The size of the payload bay and nose cone, it's still the same in that sense. It's not changed substantially as far as we know. But then you also have, because the tanks have changed and because this ship is also going to stay for longer in orbit, you've got, for example, more RCS thrusters, aka vents. So the tank vents are being used as RCS still, but there are more of them. They are also located in more weird locations, to put it in some kind of way, like on the sides of the ship and even in parts where they're sticking out from the heat shield, for example. So those are probably some of the major changes. They have also changed the position of the catch pins. Now they are also lifting pins as well. They're going to be used by the chopsticks to be able to lift the ships. If you remember from the last two versions, that was not the case. They used to be on the ship on the chopsticks, excuse me. There used to be pins that will go sort of in sockets located in the ships, and that will be the thing that will allow them to be able to lift the ships. Now with this version, that is not the case. The catch pins are also the lifting pins as well, just like on the boosters. So I think those are some of the major things that have changed. Of course, many other smaller changes from antennas, raceways, FTS, etc., etc.
Docking.
We can,
ports
yeah,
now.
docking. That's also, yeah, I forgot about that.
QD redesign.
Docking, QD, yeah. There's a bunch of other sort of little things, but docking is definitely one of the bigger ones as well. We can at least see on the top part of the tankage section, right below the door, two of the housings. It's not the complete docking system, of course, but at least two of the housings for that docking system. If I were to guess, they're probably not going to fly the full docking system until they've flown at least, subcomponents. We cannot see, for example, the same version, but on the aft of the ship, there should be another couple of those, but there are not any of those on this ship. My guess is that they're probably going to start like flying first with the housings, and they're going to grow up from that in subsequent flights. But I don't know.
They did add some internals to S39.1's docking thing, or maybe it was S40's forward nose cone. But I know they've added internals onto one of them, so there's a chance they add them on the forwards here, but they don't add the afts at all on this one. And like to add to Alex, I mean, the raceways have been a little bit redesigned as well. The amount of other ports and vents, of course, they got on it. They've moved around the Starlink antennas again. There's just a lot of changes overall with this ship, and then of course, booster is a whole nother ball game with all the changes they have on it.
And it's really important to mention, by the way, this ship is the same size by all means to the previous version. It's not being stretched or anything. When I mentioned before that they gained like 100 metric tons of propellant and things like that, it's just because they moved some of the domes around. Basically, they were able to do that by doing that. Like They have not stretched this ship. By all means, if you were to look like from this distance, from far away, it sort of looks the same as the previous version, right? The flaps are the same size, same location. All of those things are very much the same. It's some of the other much more close-up things that, if you were to be standing closer to the ship, then you start seeing the differences.
Yep, it's really fascinating to see this evolution, and that answers a few questions. I'm going to say it right now. There are so many good questions in chat right now, and they are in the panel. If you think, 10, 15 minutes in, why didn't ask my question? We're going to get to them. Seriously, I'll put them in what's called a question queue, which means I can come back to them at any point. We'll go through as many of these questions as possible. They don't have to be super chats. We're not one of those streams where you only answer super chat questions. We'll answer anybody's question. You could be the first time here. Yeah, you'll need to subscribe to be in chat because that's how it works on YouTube. That's all you have to do. That's free. And it could be your first time here. You'll go, oh, I've got a good question here. I don't know if they want to take it or not. It's my first time here. All you got to do is that next space flight. It doesn't tell us if it's your first day or it's your 15th year here. It doesn't make any difference. Ask a question. Well, if it's a good question, we'll answer it best we can. So don't worry if I've not got to your question yet. There's so many of them. I do want to note that Anthony has become a Capcom member. Let me put that in there. That means you get access to our member Discord, which is a real cool place that I spend far too much time in myself because I should be working. And I spend too much time in sports ball telling Americans that it's actually football, not soccer. Max, say nothing. Right, moving quickly on.
My tongue.
Speaking, but I've got one for you, Max. Here, if ship 39 runs at Masseys, how much of a flight delay would that be to flight 12?
I don't even know if we want to go down that rabbit hole right now. Let's think positive thoughts. I think the broader answer to that question would be a big delay. Like that'd be a really big deal, even though they are currently in the middle of stacking ship 40, and that should be done maybe in the next couple 2 to 3 weeks, maybe.
Less.
They are still less than that. Okay, still.
Less. All that's left is the aft section for 40, and then it needs its flaps and everything. Oh, it needs its aft flaps and other stuff. But yeah.
So that's just on the ship hardware side. I think the question then at that point would be how damaged is Masseys, and depending on how damaged that is and what repairs are necessary, they do have a secondary stand over there that will be used. I just don't know how far along that is in terms of operational readiness, or if they will have to find a way to already adapt a ship to be mounted to the orbital launch mount, similar to how they had over with the original launch mount at Pad 1. That's a rabbit hole of a question, quite frankly, and it's all conjecture. But I think it would be a big problem, not just for on the hardware side, but also for SpaceX as a whole as a company.
Let's think positives then. Let's take this next question here, which is, since ship 39 is almost complete already, how long until static fire? So Ryan, it's obviously not going out for a static fire test now. It's going out for its cryoproof testing. It'll need to go back to the production site to Mega Bay 2, receive its engines, roll back out, and then go for a static fire test. What kind of timeline do you expect for that?
I still think we're a couple of weeks away. This is going to roll out, go onto the static fire stand. They'll probably do a basic cryo. So they'll probably fill both tanks. Check they'll probably do an ambient pressure test first. The pressure check the tanks and everything, actuate all the valves. Then they'll fill it. They'll check all that stuff. And then my guess is they'll also commission the Masseys tank farm since they've got it hooked up. They'll go ahead and load methane and liquid oxygen as well, just to make sure that the new tank farm that has been built because of S36 is fully operational and good to go. That means they don't have to do it when they roll 39 back out again. And then it's going to have to do some other testing. As I talked about earlier, it's got some flap testing to do, plus some chopstick squeeze testing to do. So it'll likely be out at Masseys for a week or two, and then or whatever, and then it's got to roll back, and it's got to get everything else finished. It's got to get engines installed, get set up, and that might take 2 weeks or more. And I honestly don't think it'll static fire till the end of March, if not early April. But we'll see.
Ryan, you actually hit one thing that I forgot to mention, because Chris was talking about before like not doing the thrust simulator, right? We got a question about that before, but they're doing a kind of testing that they have not done on any ship prior to this.
They've done
which
it
is
only on
that-
test tanks.
Yeah, that weird contraption that they have at Masseys to test like flaps, the chopstick slab on the side of the tank. Like, I'm really wondering why they did not do some kind of test tank for that, and they're taking the actual ship. It feels weird, but look, it's definitely something new to look out for during testing. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Can I ask? Sorry, Ryan. Can I ask if they're actually going to call it the squeeze tests?
I mean, we could do it that. That's basically what they're going to do. So they've done that on a test tank before. There was I don't remember the name of the test tank off the top of my head. It's been a
About
bit.
slap tests, but I've not heard about squeeze tests.
They have done a squeeze test on a test tank before. In fact, some of the hardware they're using for this squeeze test was used for that way back when. I don't remember the exact date. I have to go look it up again. But basically, what they're going to do with this is they've got two like simulators that are strapped to this truss structure that they've got, and they'll enclose it around the ship. And then they've got actuators on one side and cables attached to the other. They'll attach the cables to the actuators, and they'll literally pull these two simulators together, squeezing the ship, and they're gonna test how that works. I think that's partly to do with some of the newer designs and reinforcements they have going on with the payload bay, because they have to catch these ships eventually, and they want to know how it's going to work. By the way, here's the Sirius 33 undocking soon. But there's testing there that needs to be tested. The one thing they haven't done before is really testing those flaps. That is something new. From what it looks like, they're going to attach 3 separate actuators to each flap. So there's 3 separate ones for both afts, and then there are 3 actuators up on top of the truss structure that have steel cables running through them, through pulleys, that'll then can attach to the forwards, and they can then pull and use that to actuate the flaps or move them. So I think they're trying to either stretch the structure of the flaps, the hinges, which haven't changed, so that's kind of weird, or maybe they're testing a new drive design. Maybe they have a new motor with a new gearbox and they want to stress test it. I don't know. It is kind of an odd thing that this just kind of popped up out of nowhere. But I think the reason why they're not doing it as a test tank is because they want to test how all the systems interact with one another. So in a full ship, how is it going to interact when we pull forces on the flaps and go squeeze an entire ship? Rather than trying to build a bunch of different test tanks and a couple of different test rigs, build one whole thing and just test one whole ship. And do it all at once.
Yeah, it brings on there's several scheduling questions. I'm going to come back to the booster with Alex in a second, but I want to address what people are saying in chat about the launch date. They are perfectly reasonably taking what Elon says on X as kind of like, well, that means March, surely. Elon said 4 or so weeks ago, 6 weeks to launch, and recently said launch next month, as in March. Elon does that a lot, and I actually think it's a positive. Now, bear with me, I'll explain why. Elon is the head person, if you think about it. Elon has always been known to push. Now, it's almost like a management style. It's Elon's style, but it also is a management style where you ask your workforce to try and achieve. It's a bit like Star Trek, isn't it, Ryan? Where the captain would always go to Scotty. Kirk would always go to Scotty, I need this done in 3 hours. And he goes, well, I'll take you 4 hours, Captain. The idea is about pushing timelines, and it tends to work. They will eventually achieve that milestone. Like, in example, we don't expect to launch in March, even though Leon said it. But because he's put it out there, he'll probably get the workforce working towards that date as near as possible. So we might get a launch sooner than if he'd not said anything at all. So I like it when he does that. But I think we all realistically know that it's not going to be in March because of all the things they need to do. And one of those things is the booster side. So Alex, the question here about the booster is, wait, I've lost it. Here we go. Oh, there we go. It's from the Cavalier, who asks, with the grid fins getting installed on the booster, how soon will we see it roll to the launch site for static fire?
we're not sure how long it'll take. You know, just because they're so the thing with installing grid fins and whatnot, they were also installing like the aft flaps on chip 39 like a month ago or something like that, right, Ryan? And we all thought, oh, they're about to roll this out, and they still took quite a while to roll this out, right? So I don't think there's a good way to say straight away that we are close to it rolling out. We want it to be close, right? We all want it to be close, but just because we're starting to see that sort of thing, it's not a guarantee, right? We'll see.
There is a development in that respect, I will say.
Mhm.
Not only the possible grid fin that we think was lifted into Mega Bay 1, who knows if that was the first one or if that was the last one. But there have been 2 lifts that were lowered into the flame trench over the last couple of days. And as starting of yesterday, they are dismantling the. So there's a massive scaffolding floor that's been on the bottom of the launch
Yep.
mount since they built it. They have been dismantling that, which
Oh.
means that with that dismantled, and if they take all the scaffolding out of the inner ring and on the top, we'll have a completely scaffold clean OLM. There's also been a ton of water trucks coming in recently, so they may be taking all the scaffolding off and doing another test or getting ready for booster. So we'll have to wait and see. But that is definitely a big development. Have them taking that floor apart.
Yeah, that's rather important. I mean, it's a move in the right direction, which is the important thing, right? But saying, oh, it's gonna roll out, I don't know, like a week from now or 2 weeks, or it's not like we can really know for sure, right? It's the first 2. Well, I guess Booster 19 is technically not the first booster version 3, but it's the first one that's past cryo. Let's put it that way, right? So as first time builds, we cannot really say for sure these are going to be the timelines just because we've seen some timelines before. They either beat those past timelines because now they have more experience, even though they're new builds, and blah, 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 right? Or because they are new builds, they are having troubles, or they need to work more carefully around these vehicles and all that. It's a balance, right? So guesses are very fluid. I've been guessing for a while, though, that Flight 12 might happen like March, April timeframe. It's looking like it might be that timeframe, right? But that's one of those things that, Chris was saying. People in chat are saying, Elon talking about 6 weeks, like 4 weeks ago or something like that. It's one of those things that we really cannot tell for sure whether it's going to be next month or not. I think it's more likely to be in April now, but we'll see.
I think too as well. But it's also a bonus because that's not far away. And we have been waiting a long gap between Flight 11 and Flight 12. So when we talk about, potential of April, it's not that far away. And Max, I've got a crossover episode for you here now. NASA's just told us via media, we get media releases because obviously we're part of media, that there's an Artemis news conference at 10 o'clock tomorrow.
Yes.
So that will be updating status on SLS. Max, what's the chances Artemis 2 and Flight 12 align and cause us major headaches?
Stop it. I don't stop it, Chris. Well, it depends on the factors in this equation are many and none of them work together. So depending, I think first and foremost, on one hand of the equation, it all depends on how the repairs and the work on SLS go. They just got back into the VAB last night, and I believe we're hard down by 10 p.m. or so. And when we went to, oh my God, I voted for methane. Yeah, I mean, hydrogen was not the issue. It was helium. I know. We also talked about that yesterday. But SLS is back in the VAB, and that completely threw off my entire train of thought. Good grief, jump scare. So hydrogen isn't the issue. They had to work on the helium bottles in the ICPS, or the interim cryogenic propulsion stage. And by the time we went back into the VAB today, to pick up cameras. All of the work platforms around the ML and also around the rocket itself were already extended. As you can see, we have a bunch of merch right now. I voted for methane. I mean, it is arguably a superior propellant. I think that is a fair assessment. But yeah, it depends on how the work with SLS goes, and how long that takes, and also how the timeline evolves with ship and booster sides of the Flight 12 equation. If I can see Artemis still targeting the early April launch window, depending on what happens. Obviously, I mean, I think we'll know more by tomorrow morning in that press conference. But I think mid-April is the most likely outcome for Flight 12, assuming all goes well and all is on track for ship cryo, ship static fire, and booster static fire as well. So again, we'll have to wait and see. But I'm praying to God that that is not like these two interfering with each other. Like Star Glen was already an event in itself with being New Glenn Flight 1 and then also Starship Flight 7, which was the first flight of the Block 2 variant of ship RIP. So yeah, lots of factors in the equation, but I'm really hoping that is not the case.
I've got a bone to pick as a fan of Hydrolox shuttle rockets.
Yes.
Is methane
Go off,
really
Chris.
better? Well, I always thought hydrogen was better for the impulse. And Ryan, help me out here. Is there really a case of methane being better, or methane, or what you want to pronounce it as? But I always thought Hydrolox vehicles had the advantage.
Well, Hydrolox is great when you're in space. It's got a much better impulse for like Centaur is a fantastic upper stage because of its performance capabilities. Because Hydrolox can have great specific impulses. But if you really want to put a bunch into space from the surface of Earth, Hydrolox is not, I repeat, is not the fuel to do it with. It's either RP1 or methane. I'm sorry. You can get a lot more thrust, a lot more bang for your buck out of it. Just look at look how much mass Starship can put up with that. With that, imagine if you tried to do Hydrolox Starship. Good luck.
Yeah, it would be probably 1 2/3 the size that it is now, because that's one of the other trade-offs is propellant density. Hydrogen is I think one of, if not the least dense elements on the table, and
not counting helium, but yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
very hard to make liquid helium.
Yes, very, very small and very leak prone as a result. And because it's not dense, you need a lot more of it to get the same amount of performance that you otherwise would with methane or RP1. And that is why, if you look at the core stage of SLS, the LH2 tank is orders of magnitude larger than the LOX tank. Like the LOX tank is like maybe the top 6th maybe of the core stage. The rest is either LH2 tank or the LVSA, or the launch vehicle stage adapter. It's basically 80% LH2 tank. It's insane how undense it is, really. Go ahead.
Just to put it in perspective, because I actually looked up the numbers. Compared to the density of water, liquid hydrogen is like 7% of the density of the water. Methane is 42%. So it's
That's
like
insane.
about half as dense. Meanwhile, hydrogen is like only 7% the density of water. Liquid oxygen is actually denser than water in that case. Like if you were to be able to put liquid oxygen and water together, and the water does not freeze and all that, it will sink down to the bottom of the tank. So yeah, that's the thing.
It's very temperamental. It's very expensive to work with, not just with your launch vehicle, but also with your equipment on the ground that has to handle it. As we have seen numerous times already with both SLS and also the entire space shuttle era, because the shuttle also had its share of LH2 issues.
Even Apollo.
Yeah, even Apollo, and also Delta IV Heavy, RIP.
And Atlas.
if you're trying to build a launch vehicle that you can fly often and regularly, LH2 is not the way to go because of how temperamental it can be, both on the ground side of the systems and also on the vehicle itself. It's nowhere near as efficient in terms of like workflow, perhaps.
Yeah.
I'm just loving this view, by the way. I've completely by the way, if you're a fan of particular propellants, we do have a range in our store now which kind of caters to your need. If you've probably seen them pop up on the thing, but use the blame commands. I like blame 3, it's the latest one, which is the methane one. Or methane, I don't care how you pronounce it, it's the same thing. But there is Ship 39 rolling down Highway 4 at some speed. I mean, it's the same speed as normal, but it does catch me out from time to time. I also know we've got a lot of good questions in chat. We will go through them all. This stream won't be a short stream, it'll be a long one, so we'll get through them all. Bear with us while we do it. We have the CRS-33 on docking coming up. We'll have Ryan Caton coming on to introduce and cover that one very shortly, so that's coming up as well. So it's a full-packed day of fun. And that's what we like. We like it being busy. We do say it's always something going on, but that is something where we go back to the shuttle days where it was 3 months between launches. And while I would like to cover the processing flows and what have you, the actual events itself, like rollouts and rollovers and the actual launch itself and the missions and what have you, will be once every 3 months. And it's now crazy compared to those eras. So if you've just got into spaceflight, you're a new person who's just got into it, be it young or old, and you're just starting to get interested in this, it's an excellent time to get interested in it because there's so much going on. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg. There is a lot bigger events coming up where we actually start seeing these vehicles sending humans out into deep space to the moon and then eventually Mars. That Mars plan has not gone away. It's just a refocused on the moon first. I want to thank some people because I just looked in my left-hand corner and seen so much support. I want to thank those people. J. Michael Duty, I pronounced your name terribly, I'm sure I have. In your view, what is the biggest bottlenecks in 2024 to 2020 and 2025, excluding the V2 issues? And do you expect those same bottlenecks to still be limiting in 2026? Salutations from Quebec, Texas, Tank Watcher Bacon. What a long one. Everything's in there, even a bacon was thrown in. Right. Basically, let's round it down, Ryan. Do we expect the same issues we've seen with the V2 on V3, or are you confident this has probably been a resolution point now?
So in terms of the biggest bottlenecks that occurred, and I can't even include 2023 in this thing, SpaceX needed to figure out how to get booster working. That was step number 1. After doing suborbital hops with the ship, the next step was to get get a few ships through reentry. And yeah, they did have their V2 issues, which I would honestly call that bottlenecks because they needed to figure out how not to make that happen. I still think there are some bottlenecks that are related, which is get booster working. This booster is not even remotely the same one that flew on Flight 11. Not even close. The plumbing is entirely different. The transfer tube, the plumbing, the tanks, pretty much everything on this booster is different. It's 9 meters wide, about a little bit about the same height, and it's stainless steel. Those are about that's about where the similarities end. Not gonna lie, that's about where it is, and it's even using a different engine. They're gonna have to start not really from scratch, but I think this flight, in a lot of ways, Ship 39 is more of a glorified nose cone for Booster 19. If it works and they get past stage separation and 39 gets the reentry, awesome. That's a win. But what they really need out of this flight is for 19 to work. That is the biggest thing. If 39 works, that's a bonus.
I think for everything they solved with version 2, they had like 1 or like 2 more come in for every problem they solved for version 2, just because of how new version 3 is, both on the booster side of the equation and also ship. Especially with a Raptor 3 in itself, which has yet to fly at all, and how much flight data they were actually able to get with Raptor 2 between flights 1 through 11. So yeah, it's going to be interesting one way or the other. But booster really does need to work, and if that doesn't work on the first flight, we may be in for a bit of a headache.
I do wonder, since we're seeing Dragon here, if we're gonna get a ship-to-ship docking during this year.
This year,
They have to, yeah, because
have to.
to make sorry.
Yeah, you're good. Well,
Give
one
me
of
what I want.
SpaceX's goals for this year is ship-to-ship propellant transfer in orbit, and they have to do that this year if they have any chance of maintaining their HLS commitments or the human landing system commitments with NASA, given the current time frame of a lunar landing in 2028. Yeah, they have to. It isn't if, it's they need to. They have to. It was a bit of an upset for version 2 having its headaches, but version 3 cannot afford any mistakes of the sort.
Very good. I have so many. I'm going to do a quick bunch of thank yous because I know we've got Ryan Caton joining us very shortly for the view on the left-hand side of CRS 33. Let me do a quick little panel maintenance ahead of Ryan joining this commentary, so I make sure I don't miss people out. Rick became a PADREP member. Thank you, Rick. 321 Astra wants the gateway to Mars sign back. Well, it might be gateway to Moon. That's the way that's going. Gareth Cole has gifted 5 Red Team memberships. Very much appreciated. And lots of other questions coming up as well. We have a long stream covering Ship 39, so we can come back to those questions relating to Ship 39. But I think we should talk a little bit about the ISS. With Ship 33. Hang on a minute. It's CRS 33, a Dragon. It's not even a Starship. Set to undock. Ryan, welcome to the stream to talk about ISS stuff.
Hello, everybody. What a wonderful afternoon. Well, it's not even afternoon yet in Starbase, technically. What a wonderful clear blue skies for a ship to roll out, and clear black skies, I guess, from the International Space Station, or no sky from the International Space Station. But yeah, 2 very exciting events coming up in, well, one currently underway, another one happening in about 12 and a half minutes time. So lots of exciting things happening today. It's always, you know, we wait for all of these different events. They're originally scheduled at nice separate times, and then just like we've seen with the Artemis 2 wet dress rehearsal, you wait for one event and then 2 come at once. But yeah, very, very exciting day ahead of us. And of course, an exciting weekend with even more launches on the way. And SpaceX confirming that all of the cargo is loaded, the hatch is closed, and Dragon is ready for an on-time departure from the space station, which is great news because, well, at least one of these vehicles is going to be departing on time because, of course, Ryan, the ship was meant to be rolling a few days ago at this point. Not exactly this morning/afternoon.
Well, they had the closure set for last night. I don't think the closure before that was ever for 39. I think that one was for the some of the testing equipment they rolled to Masseys because they're gonna. It looks like they're gonna move some test tanks around and possibly roll out another test tank to do some more testing because they're really testing Block 3, and I'm glad to see it. I'm glad to see how much they're testing this thing. I really am. Compared to what they've tested in past vehicles, I still think it's funny to this day that they, in the past, they've like tested the hot stage ring like a week or 2 before flight. I think that was before flight 2. Like it was not long before the flight that they tested that thing. So it's nice to see this all like long before they flies. But yeah, it's Ship 39's out. They finally have the trust structure ready for it. And we're finally see some Block 3 ship testing. It's about time, to say the least.
Yeah, I do have to agree it is about time because we've been waiting so long for this moment and we've seen so many delays and mishaps and oopsie daisies and unfortunate events. So, you know, fingers crossed everything goes smoothly for Ship 39. I think we all want everything to go smoothly for Ship 39. And fingers crossed it goes quickly as well as going smoothly because, as you were just talking about, there is a lot of stuff that's coming for Starship, and you know they really need to get going with this program because Elon time, the timelines have been slipping even more than Elon time. It feels like sometimes. So, yeah, fingers crossed they can really get pushing in 2026 and have a bit of a better year in 2025. I think that's safe to hope for.
You know what's strange? Like, we haven't seen a ship roll in this direction since Ship 36 last June.
No, Ship 38.
Oh, you're right. It did. Oh my God.
It
Never
did the
mind.
crash,
Disregard.
The last
Disregard.
time a ship was at Masseys was Ship 38 Cryo, and that was when it left Masseys on July 31st, so 211 days ago was when the
which
last time we had a ship
still
at
isn't much
Masseys.
better, to be honest.
No, we haven't had a ship static fire at Masseys since 36's single engine static fire on the 16th of June last year.
Yeah.
So it's a long time coming. It's nice to finally see it again. And the new stand they built, the new tank farm system they built is far superior than the one they had. They redesigned it from the ground up. It's much more protected. So if a RUD like 36 were to happen again, it would mostly just be the QD and the gantry and some of the pipes that would have to get replaced. The methane tank farm and the main valves and everything should be fully protected and fine. And not only that, they've also upgraded the electrical system. So if another event like 36 were to happen, they can shut off electrical to a single part of Masseys now, if I remember correctly, rather than last time when the anomaly occurred, they had to shut all power to Masseys off because it was all integrated, and they've been basically running on generators for the last 10 months. So, or however long it's been like 8-9 months or whatever, but it's been a while.
Although, Max, your statement would still be true if you amended it, I believe, to just say on this specific stand, because of course
Also
we haven't
true.
seen a static fire, so no need for the static fire stand. But of course they're not static firing this time, as we have talked about on the stream not that long ago. They don't have any engines on board, but of course they are needing to use this stand to go out to Masseys this time around because there's so many test tanks.
I want to touch on that specific thing because I'm seeing people that have been asking, like, how do we know that they don't have engines installed, right? Because we have not seen engines going into the bay, but they could have done that sort of, behind the scenes or undercover, whatever you want to call it, right? Like, do we have any sort of way of telling other than we have not seen any engines going into the bay?
Not really. We don't really have any other way to tell.
All right.
But I find it a little bit hard to believe considering the testing stuff that they've got on the ship and whatnot. I don't think they would have engines on it. I would assume they would cryo it, and I still think they're going to roll it back out for thrust sim after the fact, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, I wanted to clear that out and sort of talk about this because it's like we are very sure, right, that there's no engines or anything. It's not like we can even see underneath of this stand because it's got this access platform underneath of the ship, right? Like it's right there blocking the view of the engines. So it's not like we can look up and figure out by ourselves that there's engines or not, right? But there's a small non-zero chance, right, that because we don't know for sure, maybe there is, and now, suddenly they get some kind of surprise static fire. I don't expect that, to be honest. Like, my personal opinion is that there's definitely no engines installed. But I wanted to talk about that because you never know.
They don't want to do a pull a booster 4. When Booster 4, when they installed all those engines on it, and then they went out and cryoed it, due to the stuff that was inside the tanks, and of course the stuff that was inside the tank farm, they basically destroyed the engines that they had on there. They made them more or less not usable as long as the internal plumbing. They don't want to do that again, so I highly doubt there are engines on this. They'll cryo it, do the testing they got, roll it back, and they'll static fire it in like 4 weeks or something like that. It'd be my guess.
You do realise we have cameras dotted along the side of the road, and which can probably look up at the
There's a
engine bay
work
and see there
platform
aren't
in
any
there,
engines.
so we can't see it.
Yeah, we
Oh,
cannot.
boo.
I literally mentioned that, right?
Yeah.
We cannot look up, unfortunately.
They
mean, we
used to be
can,
able to.
but
We
you
used to
wouldn't
be
see
able to do
anything.
that. But
Yeah.
then they made a work platform, and then they roll with the work platform up, so they prevented us from ever seeing that. So yeah.
Yeah, you can look up, but all you'll see is just the underside platform. That's all you'll see.
Well, as we are now 4 minutes and 40 seconds away from the scheduled undock of CRS-33, it's probably right that we turn our attention to that mission for a few minutes here, because of course this
And also extra propellant tanks located on the trunk of the Dragon. It's also been the Dragon that stayed the longest, attachment or so. But this one in particular was launched, if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to look it up here. It was in August, if I'm looking at this. Yeah, August 24th. And so it's been there since. It's not moved at all. It's not undocked and redocked or anything like that. It's been staying at that port on the front side of the station ever since. And so it's the longest that we've seen any of these cargo dragons up there. Of course, crew dragons have been staying up there for longer. We've seen, for example, Crew Dragon Endeavor stayed up for 8 months during one of its missions. So definitely not the record holder for all dragons, but definitely for Cargo Dragon. And it's been very useful because through those reboosts during different parts of the mission, they've been able to save some of the propellant on the Russian side of the station. And so that's being a very important thing because they want to keep that propellant for later into the station's life to be able to control the station while there are no progress attached to the station or like no more resupply missions and things like that. So that they are able to control the station as it is being sort of deorbited. Because we talk about the ISS deorbit, right? But it's a process that will take a full year. And during that year, there will not be no crew missions, for example, to the ISS. At least from the US side of things, it's going to be a continuous crew for like a year, and then they'll depart. I think 2 months before the final 2 months of the station, essentially, and then they'll depart and things like that. So they need to reserve all of that fuel now, so that they can leave that for that final portion of the station's life. So that's what they've been using this Cargo Dragon for.
And this Cargo Dragon has flown a couple of times before, previously flying on CRS-29 and CRS-26 in 2023 and 2022, respectfully. Lots of 20s in there. But we are now under 2 minutes till that undocking is scheduled to take place. We have confirmation from NASA that the undock command has been sent to Dragon, so it is currently in the process of getting ready to physically separate from the International Space Station, its forward port where it has been docked ever since it arrived all the way back in August of last year. The first set of locks are now open.
Yep, there are 6 hooks that attach physically the vehicle to the station, and those open. And funny enough, there's no springs or anything. So in order to physically, like, once they open, Dragon is just floating there next to the docking port. But to actually physically separate away, it needs to fire thrusters. So since we are in daylight, we may not fully see those thrusters firing, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's always very tricky in space to be able to expose to see really dim thruster movements because, you know, the it turns out space is really bright because you have the sun there. It looks like we're having a little tedious handover here potentially from the space station, but fingers crossed that those views return. But you know, knowing our luck, this is brilliant timing here for CRS-33. But we will stand by and hopefully those views do return just in time. 10 seconds away from the estimated undock time. You're looking live now at Mission Control in Houston, which is where the International Space Station is controlled from on NASA's end. Of course, there are multiple control rooms all around the world in Russia, in Japan, in Europe.
And this
in the
is
meantime,
important. I was actually going to connect this with Starship because it's like they're going to connect ship to ship and things like that. Like all of this is training for that. Just with the ISS, right? Docking and undocking and all that stuff. It's rather important.
And we can see this ship is the first to have those docking adapter shrouds kind of on the front of the ship, allowing the probe to go in the drogue.
Yeah, the docking system of Starship, it's quite unique for SpaceX themselves, because Dragon uses... Ah, there we go.
And there we go. We have visual separation of Dragon away from the International Space Station. Undocking confirmed at 12:05 Eastern Time, 17:05 Coordinated Universal Time. And you can now see Dragon backing away, and it will start to... Almost looks like it's pitching down as it starts to kind of fly up and away from the International Space Station, at least in this perspective.
So with that undocking now confirmed, that means this Dragon has officially been at the station for the longest for the cargo Dragons at 185 days and 6 hours, with a total time spent in space of 269 days, at least docked to the station, 269 days, 3 hours, and 24 minutes across its 3 missions. So there you go. Also record holder with the most time spent at the station by any cargo Dragon.
Very much a record setter and a well-proven spacecraft at this point. As Dragon C211 continues to back away from the International Space Station, and it will be returning to Earth over the next few hours, scheduled to splash down in the Pacific Ocean just off the coast of California. Looks like we've got another loss of signal there from the space station, but we can of course go back to Starbase and keep watching Ship 39 as it rolls out to the Masseys test site. And in the meantime, we have gotten a lot of support. Chris said he was going to try and get through a good chunk of it before I arrived, but even more has come in since that point. So I should thank Farad for their support here. £20 tip to tip.nasaspaceflight.com. Thank you for your support. Asking if we have any plans of any other close-up cameras at other SpaceX sites. We do have cameras, of course, at the Kennedy Space Center press site, which is about as close as you can get there. So that is... we already have those on Space Coast Live, and very usefully... it looks like the... oh, it's back. The panel crashed for a second there as I was starting to go through support. But it looks like it's back. There we go. Astro95 Media, we know who you are. Welcome back to the stream with a $20 support. Thank you so much for your ongoing support. Looking like Flight 12's no earlier than. It's threading an availability needle for me in April, so hopefully I'll see you all there. Make us proud, Ship 39. Fingers crossed the testing goes well to get to that point. And it looks like the live views have now returned as well from the International Space Station, which is great to see. We have Ben Newbury with a $10 super. Thank you for your support, asking what are the odds that Artemis 2 and Flight 12 happen in the same windows? Right now, not impossible. I will go to Ryan Webber, who is always, very optimistic on the Starship launch dates.
Let's see here. What Artemis 2's next set that it would make would be, was it April 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th, right? I am going to say with absolute certainty, and this is on me, that Flight 12 will fly after Artemis 2. So Artemis 2 will go first no matter what, and it won't even be close. It'll be like, I think it'll be a few weeks apart. So I said it first. I'll say it.
Well, knowing our luck, they're now going to happen within a couple of hours of each other.
I I think Weber's law is now in full appliance here.
Which law is that one? Well,
If he says something isn't going to happen, it's going to happen.
okay. We'll find out, won't we?
You heard it here first.
For the sake of NSF, I hope it doesn't. Just
And I
put
would-
it that way, because I want the entire team to focus on Artemis 2 at once. I want the entire team to focus on Flight 12 when it comes around. Because I know
nice.
for a fact that Max and D want to be there for Flight 12 without
That
a
we do.
doubt.
Yes.
So please, no, I'm gonna say it doesn't happen, and I don't want it to happen. Period.
I'm gonna say
We-
though.
Okay.
Oh
go
well, Max. No. You go.
Well, no. All I was going to say is yes. D and I do 100% want to be there. It is a very big part in our coverage here, and having our cameras on site would be a real treat. So yes, we would love to be there.
Alex, are you gonna?
Yeah.
Or-
So what I was gonna say is that we did have the other day that communications permit request that SpaceX filed with the Federal Communications Commission. In I think it is April 7th. Yeah,
Mhm.
April 7th.
After
So, yeah, it will be after Artemis, but also at the same time, Artemis can easily delay, right? Like it can hop another launch period, in which case we will be talking like end of April, beginning of May. But then at the same time, do we really think this is launching like sort of mid-April? It could easily also delay, right? Like Flight 12 can also be slipping like a couple of weeks or something like that. And when you start thinking about it, the chances that they both are in the same window or like same week within days of each other and things like that are not that small when you think about that. So I don't know. I think there's a point there. I don't want it to be the case because as we were mentioning before, Max, D, and all the folks out there, I want them to be free for Starship and I want them to be free for Artemis, so we can have the best coverage for both. But also at the same time, it's quite funny.
I still think Flight 12 is going to be April 20th. It could be April 20th, Monday. It's going to be the anniversary of Flight 1.
It's fate, right?
Third, yeah, it's fate. It's absolutely fate. Like, come on.
You know what? If Artemis 1 was to launch on April 1st and Flight 12 happened on April 20th, like that would be best case scenario.
Yeah.
Because at that point we get a daytime launch of SLS, and we have the entirety of the mission being able to be covered without any major interference, and then we have Flight 12 comedically happening on not only obviously the funny of it launching on 420, but also the anniversary of Flight 1. So I think that's best case scenario. But I think that might be asking for too much. But if you don't ask, you don't receive.
Right? Exactly.
Can I hit another thing here, because you mentioned Flight 1? I actually have a bit of a spreadsheet flexing, I guess, which is
Shocker.
we're talking about how long it's taken. Oh my gosh, like Flight 11 was so long ago. It was just October 13th. Like we're talking
Just.
Yes, just because if you think about that, like we're not even past 4.5 months since then. And
4.5
if
months
it
is
were,
a long time, Alex.
it is not for the Starship program. It is not. It is actually not even the longest turnaround time. If it were to be in April, like if it were to be in April, it will be the second longest, but not the longest. The longest turnaround time that we have had so far has been between Flight 1 and 2. And Flight 1 and 2 was a whole 211 days, which if you do a little bit of math, it's about 7 months or so. So if they launch Flight 12 before May 13th, if they do that before May 13th, then we'll still be in a situation where the turnaround time is lower between flights than we've ever like the longest that we've ever seen so far. So I don't know. And remember, we took what 2 years between SM-15 and the first flight of Starship, so it can be worse. Just saying.
Yeah, but I think the circumstances here are quite different, though. I think that we've become so spoiled by sub 3 month turnarounds between flights.
But they're changing both ship and booster.
And pad. New
natural.
pad. Yep.
And the pad. I mean, the weird thing will be to not take that long.
The funny moment is while this is likely going to be the second longest turnaround time between flights, this is, and I've said it many times, this is the longest amount of time we've ever gone without a vehicle at the launch site. Like for any testing or anything at all. Even if you even go back to the SN1, SN2, SN3, 4, 5, 6 days, like they were having vehicles out at the launch site for testing for every couple of months or every like 2 or 3 months or anything, and here we are. It's been like a solid 4 months since we've had a vehicle out. Since October 13th, we haven't had a vehicle at the launch site for testing. So I can't wait till Booster 19 rolls out. Hopefully it's soon, maybe within the next week or two, because they're taking apart that scaffolding. So maybe that's a good sign.
Yeah.
Please.
Then they got to reinstall one of the stabilizer arms on the sticks before they can lift it. But I want to see the aft of that booster, and I want to see a static fire in that trench badly.
I do want to bring up one point though. Like, what is that engine testing will like? What will it look like? Because it's like, it's a new booster, new engine, new pad. Everything is new on that. Do we think it's gonna be sort of like Booster 7 when we saw that kind of testing? Because it's true that we haven't had a vehicle out at the pad for a while, but it's been for a good reason. We have a whole brand new launch site now, or rather pad. It's the same.
Honestly,
but,
I don't think so, because now SpaceX at least has a lot of history and experience handling super heavy boosters. Granted, this is a new design, but still handling a booster of this size on the chopsticks and being able to move it with it, and also having it moved over to the launch mount, and also making sure a booster of that size fits with any of its QDs or quick disconnects or hold down clamps, anything. So I don't think it's not quite the same. But again, brand new parts. There are going to probably be maybe some minor fitment issues with some small stuff, but I don't think it's like that.
Well, the problem is the QDs have completely changed. The hold-out arms are completely changed. The clamps are completely changed. The pumps are completely changed. The subcooler setup is completely changed. The size of the lines between the pumps and the pad has changed. The entire service structure system for putting propellant into the vehicles has changed. The vehicle itself, the engine.
And here we go.
There's the W. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did you just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, you know.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect flow.
Propulsion continues to be normal.
We did have an observation. 343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly! Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
Oh
My God.
Yikes, you bet. Grr. We don't need any more of these.
Well, hello everybody. It's Ship 39. It's a milestone for Flight 12.
Says they at least have some prior experience. Are we all on that same page, or
Yeah.
any dissenting opinions? Because I think by our own sort of explanation, it sort of seems like that's the case. I don't know.
No disagreements? Okay, there we go. Let's move on.
It's not the flame trench, I guess.
So it's
Ding
done.
ding.
So speaking of Ship 39, it's done its first turn. Oh, I always have to look at Google Maps for this one. It's always hard to remember it off the top of my head. It's got its first turn. It's passed by Rio West. And I think it's about to go by one of the, I went by the new Border Patrol area that they have set up there. And then it should have recently gone by the Highway 4 storage lot. So next up is, I think, another turn. Another turn. Well, okay, maybe the next. I think it's another turn, and then the Highway 4 storage lot, and then it's another turn. Then it's at Astra, if I remember correctly. We've been talking a lot. I'm trying to pay attention to where the ship actually is.
And speaking of Rio West, we have a question from Astro Playground 1546 asking, what are the buildings in front of Starship right now? And that question came in about 10 minutes ago before the debate started. So there we go. There's some buildings. What is Rio West?
Yeah, basically houses and small apartment complex, basically. So it's housing for workers and whatnot. There's also a rec center there, as well as a restaurant. And it's kind of a nice little area. There's some like singular homes, like cookie cutter homes and other things around there. So that'll be housing for workers alongside the new parking garage / apartment complex they're building over in the village. So SpaceX is building a lot of housing for workers and contractors and other things. So yeah, they're trying to get more people here at Starbase because they got to up their cadence. They got to build things faster if they really want to launch as much as they want to launch.
Indeed. We have another question here from Sard, and this one is that we can run around the room because they are asking, if Ship 39 lands on target, do you think they will go for a catch attempt with Ship 40? Max, I'm going to start with you.
Sorry, was the question about ship or booster?
Ship. So if Ship 39 lands on target on this first V3 flight, do you think they're going to bring Ship 40 for a catch attempt on the second V3 flight?
I think if all goes well with the ship on this flight, I believe the first flight that they are going to attempt a ship reentry and catch on is going to be Flight 14 or Ship 41. I think they want to be able to demonstrate that the accuracy of being able to get ship where it needs to go more than once, especially with this new design and everything else that comes with that. Just being able to prove its accuracy and being able to be robust enough through the atmosphere to survive in one piece. So I don't think Flight 13 is going to be the one to demonstrate a ship catch or try to. I think it's going to be Flight 14 at the earliest, if all goes well, of course.
Alex, what do you think?
Oh, Ryan's chomping at the bit there.
I'll let Alex go.
I'm really unsure of them even nailing Ship 39's flight. I'm gonna be honest. We'll see. I do want it to go perfect and everything, of course. That should be upfront of my opinion here. That I want it to be completely perfect and all that. I still think that it's highly unlikely that it lands on target. But even then, we had seen it in the past from SpaceX, the willingness to at least have like 2 back-to-back splashdowns at the very least before trying any returns back to Starbase. Like, I feel they will at least try another one of those with Ship 40 out there, and then if that also is successful, maybe then after that they come all the way to Starbase. We'll see though. It's really complicated. We are at the beginning of a new version, and we know already from past experience what happens when that's the case.
I'll leave the floor open to Ryan.
I think if 39 is perfect or close to it, I think what their plan will be is I wouldn't be surprised for them to go to orbit and then do a splashdown of the Gulf and then try for a catch. So they do a full reentry coming back over southern Texas, northern Mexico, just south of Los Angeles, which we'll have to place a few people to see that reentry, especially the first few. That'll look amazing. I would not be surprised if they do try to come back and hit the Gulf, like just offshore, and then they try a catch. But it is SpaceX. They did bring back 10. 10 was lost just before the landing burn. 11 hit the landing burn perfectly, and then they caught 12. Ship is a lot different, though, is the thing. This isn't like a ballistic comeback with like Falcon 9. Booster was a lot more like Falcon 9. This is like shuttle, or is what you're trying to come back at, except for you're not landing on a runway. You're trying to flip, burn, and get caught between arms. So it's a little bit different there. So I wouldn't be surprised if they nail the first landing, they try a splashdown in the Gulf, or they say try 2 splashdowns in the Indian Ocean and then try to come back. Just so they can make sure their control systems work on Block 3. Raptor 3 is working just fine, and everything like that. Because you got to remember, they used all 11 flight tests before this used Raptor 2. All 11. Raptor 3, well, yes, it is Raptor. It's still a new engine. There's a lot of differences with the engine, and it's new. So you don't want to rush into something and then all of a sudden have a new engine have problems. You want to make sure that new engine works in all aspects of flight, and I would say they want to do that twice before they ever catch something. Although I do think they'll catch Booster 20 if 9.
Yeah, I think that there's going to be... I don't think the next flight for version 3 ship is going to be seeing a catch attempt, unfortunately. Maybe this is just me, but my confidence in the first flight of a Starship vehicle has been somewhat not confidence, if that's even a word. Purely judging by the fact that the last time there was a brand new ship flying for the first time, it couldn't even get to ship engine cutoff, and the last time there was a booster flying for the first time, it lost like 10 engines and then kind of started farting out hydraulics, even though they don't use hydraulics anymore and they're on that electric TVC, but still, it's a brand new vehicle on both stages, so I would be more than happy to be proven wrong, but I'm not 100% confident in this vehicle on the very first flight, which is another reason why you should make sure you tune in, because, whatever happens, as SpaceX says, excitement is guaranteed. We have got a bit more support, which I should hit because we've got 2 big ones here. First of all, Meaningless with a $50 super. Thank you so much for that support. That is really, really big support. And it is very much appreciated. They're asking, going to be in Texas next week for the first time since before Flight 1. Planning to visit Starbase for a day. Looking forward to seeing all the changes in the area since then. And yeah, it has changed so much since 3 years ago at this point. And I mean, I was there a year ago. I was fortunate enough to be there a year ago, and the high bay is gone. Half the production site looks different, and suddenly there's a brand new launch pad which has been built, which is pretty staggering, the amount of progress that has been made in such a short amount of time. And considering timesing that by 3, there's going to be a lot of new things. Looks like there's an engine firing at McGregor right now. But yeah, do enjoy it. There's a lot of things to see, and also make sure to stay out of SpaceX's way, because we don't want anyone getting in SpaceX's way.
Is that Raptor or Merlin? I think that's Merlin, right?
Yeah, that's Merlin.
So.
Yeah. Dirty exhaust.
And also because there's no elevated stands for Raptor.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anymore.
That's what I thought. I know the Raptor exhaust looks much different, obviously, but if it's firing against like a plate or something, the exhaust goes orange.
Lovely McGregor ASMR.
Yeah, and to be more specific, this is the second stage. Or Falcon Heavy, you never know. But one of these might go on a Falcon Heavy.
Wouldn't that be nice? I haven't seen one of those in a while.
Soon, Max.
Very soon. It'll be nice to see it. Imagine a Falcon Heavy and a Starship at 39A at the same time. If only.
Dude, that'd be so
You know,
cool.
I just thought about it because in theory, we should have a Falcon Heavy in April. So that will be added to Artemis and Flight 12 if also, if those also happen in April.
Stop.
SLS out on the pad with a Falcon Heavy out on the pad at the same time?
Yes. Okay.
Oh, that's a shot.
Hear me out. SLS over at Pad B, Falcon Heavy vertical at LC 39A. Well, I was about to say Vulcan. That's not going to happen. Atlas over at Pad 41. I'm sorry. I am sorry. I had to catch myself. That wasn't a dig. I had to catch myself. So Atlas at 41, Falcon vertical at 40, and maybe New Glenn at 36. Maybe. How cool would that be?
That would be awesome. And then just think a couple of years down the road, there's no SLS anymore, but probably, and then you've got Starship on 39A. You got, so we're not that far away. Then you've got, Falcon 9 at 40, maybe an Atlas. At that point, you might have a Vulcan unless Vulcan's canceled. What? And then
You may have a New Glenn,
a
etc.,
9X4 New Glenn, or
a 9x4 this year, Ryan. That's incredibly optimistic.
I meant a couple of years down the road is what I was saying. Yeah, a couple of years down the road, you get like a Starship with a 9x4 New Glenn, Stoke, Relativity, all a bunch of again, as we've always said, make it look like Missile Row again, except for literally a bunch of different rockets.
Speaking of Florida, Alex, we did get a little notification from NASA not too long ago about an interesting press conference happening tomorrow.
Yeah, that's gonna wreck my story about Artemis on This Week in Spaceflight, because it's not only gonna be talking about Artemis 2, because of course SLS rolled back to the VAB yesterday, and they're not only gonna be talking about that. They say also that they're also gonna be doing an update on the Artemis campaign as a whole. So I don't know. Maybe we get to talk, because also on their X account, it says to discuss next steps for the crewed lunar mission. And if you remember, there's a certain vehicle supposed to play a role in that. Might or not be part of this stream, I guess. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see what we see. Obviously, will be Jared Isaacman, administrator out there, Amish Shatria, associate administrator, and Lori Glaze, acting associate administrator for exploration systems development mission directorate, because of course it needs to be a very long name for her position at NASA. But that's basically where we are. I don't know what they're going to be talking about, but I'm really interested in that, update on the Artemis campaign. If we get something about Artemis 3 and stuff like that.
Indeed, we will be. I'm sure someone from NSF will be there, and we will be featuring that. Yeah, I'm sure someone. I don't know possibly who, but we will be featuring that, of course, in This Week in Space.
Are you going to be on the phone, Ryan, pressing star 1?
Well, if Max is going to be there in person, then I don't need to be there on the phone, because visual representation.
It's at what? It's at what? 10 a.m. tomorrow morning?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll already be here for Starlink at 5 o'clock in the morning, so I may as well stick around for a bit longer.
Oh, I forgot Starlink.
Yeah. I know, the painful realization.
I've been looking. There have been a bunch of people getting pictures of this ship, especially the with the uncovered raceways, because they don't have aero covers installed. And dear Lord, SpaceX, with some of the routing of the pipes is just, it's kind of hilarious. I'm just gonna say it is kind of hilarious. Because it looks like there are separate manifolds for they're like separate like U or V-shaped manifolds for all the auto gens, and they split off and go into the inlets that go into the aft section of the ship. And then there's a bunch of like added hard lines with like small expansion loops that kind of go down. There's some funky stuff on this ship. That's all I'm gonna say. I think some of it looks for testing, like a lot of the wiring harnesses and everything, and then some of it actually looks permanent, but I don't know what it's for. So it's actually a lot of fun looking at this thing.
Okay. We have got a little bit more support, which I'm going to try and get through as quickly as possible because, of course, you guys are breaking the panel as Ship 39 continues to create a ongoing traffic jam in Starbase down Highway 4.
This traffic, I swear, it's like, who put that ship there?
Sir, you can't park there.
Who belonged to that?
But we have Annette always supporting us in chat in the store, getting a metal print, the IMAP launch, which of course was that stunning solar transit. Look at that. A nice picture, isn't it, Max?
If I may say so myself, yes.
Yeah. So thank you very much for getting that at shop.nasaspaceflight.com. We have Farad with another £5 super chat asking if Masseys is within the Starbase city limits or if it's somewhere else.
It is within the limits.
It's a kind of a weird shape because it's like a really long. The limits almost look like a really long string with a bulge at one end, which is Masseys, and another bulge at the other end, which is the production site and the launch site, because it, of course, also encases Highway 4.
It's kind of wacky. They put it out to that, and then they also put like Rio West is in it, and whatnot. I have to look at the whole map again too. It's been a minute.
Yeah. And we have this very special super chat from Negative Ascent Specialist. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for $49.99. That is a huge amount of support, and it is very greatly appreciated. And second of all, from everybody at NSF, I'm sure we will all be wishing you good luck for tonight. So keeping it a secret with your space nerd friends is a good idea. So yeah, we are wishing you good luck.
Absolutely, dude.
Good luck.
And to the thousands of people on the stream right now, it is your duty to keep it a secret.
You're right. Between all of us, it's not going anywhere, I promise. But also, if please tell me that there's someone taking a photo or videos of it and post it, please. We'd love to see it.
100%. And we also have Alyssa in chat again with a combined $50 super. Done in two parts. But thank you so much for rewatching the stream from yesterday. And we are very much appreciative of your ongoing support and, of course, that big thank you as well. So thank you for thank youing us and thank you for the support, if that makes sense. It is really, really appreciated because, of course, we are independent. We are not owned by a huge media conglomerate. We are doing this. The only reason we can do what we do at the scale we do is because of the support from you guys, and it is seriously really, really appreciated. And everything we get goes right back into supporting the people and the equipment that makes this stuff possible. Because, as you can see, we have a Caesar right now, literally following this ship down Highway 4 with a camera which is live streaming. So that's this alone is not a cheap thing to do, and then you consider the 20 plus other permanent cameras we have dotted around Starbase, and of course the Space Coast and McGregor. You know, this stuff takes a lot of resources, so all of your guys' support really goes a long way and allows us to keep doing what we do, because we love doing it, and hopefully we can bring you all along for the ride as we get ready for Starship Flight 12. We have another question here, this one from Resisto Chat, and they are asking, is there a specific reason why the top flaps are fully extended and the bottom flaps are folded in?
Well, I don't think you really don't need to have the top flap secured during transport like this. But I think that the main reason for having the aft flaps secured and folded in like this is so it takes up a lot less space. And as you can see from both the left and right hand sides of the road, there are many obstacles to hit if it wasn't to maintain a perfect path right in the middle of the road, which we have seen a couple of times with the SPMTs hitting signs and stuff. So I think that's part of it. There might be another reason here that I'm missing. Either Alex or Ryan might know more. Question mark.
I mean, as far as I know, they've been doing this for the last. They've been doing it even for Block 2, where they would tie the aft flaps but keep the forward flaps open. They used to always move it with both flaps tied in. I honestly don't know why they changed it. I think it's just because it's easier not to have to tie the forward flaps in, and because they are now smaller and they're tucked into the nose cone, they don't need to keep them tied in order to leave the bay. So there's a possibility that that's why they do it that way. So, because otherwise, I'm pretty sure they have to leave the bay at an sideways if they were to fully open the forward flaps. I'm trying to remember though.
Tokyo Drift style.
Yeah.
It is like a bit of a tight fit, despite the bays being absolutely huge.
And they won't have that issue with Gigabay. The doorways on the Gigabay is much bigger now, so
Yes.
they will have all the clearance in the world with flaps and grid fins on those doors.
We have another question here. This is an interesting question based on the fact that we have Artemis 2 and Starship Flight 12 coming up. Nikki DRVX is asking, when New Glenn Flight 3? Because that is, of course, another big rocket coming up shortly. Let's try that again. I'm gonna be confident, and I'm gonna say March.
I'm going to say March as well.
Yeah, I think so. It'd be nice to see
Sure,
another New Glenn
March.
flight.
Just to not go against you. Yeah, because if I go against you and I'm wrong, now I look like a clown. So
Oh God.
probably not.
I swear to God, if we have, I don't want to manifest this, but if we have New Glenn Flight 3, Artemis 2, and Starship Flight 12 all in danger of interfering with each other, I'm going to explode.
We are also now seeing the stand and the ship from our camera position set up just opposite Masseys Way, which is, of course, the road to SpaceX's Masseys test site. And, of course, appropriate Cybertruck security stationed in front as well. So the vehicle is getting ever closer to that Masseys test site. I know Carson loves it when we backseat produce, but I'm just wondering if we could pop back to the Google Maps view very quickly, because one thing which I find rather hilarious is, of course, the fact that on the driving mode on Google Maps, there is now a huge red line going to Masseys Way along Highway 4 from everybody, which is currently queuing up. You can see in the top left there a big red traffic jam on Google Maps. Surprisingly, though, no traffic jam on the other side of the road. But yeah, I do wonder why.
I think not.
And one thing I'll say too is Massey's Way is now mostly concreted, so the roll might be a little bit quicker down that road than in the past. Which is nice. It's about time they concreted that thing.
Indeed, it was a bit of a dirt track before, and if you're going to be consistently carrying big vehicles like this on huge self-propelled modular transporters, you might want a little bit more of a solid surface to be able to move these across for the longevity of that part of the road. But, that being said, Highway 4 is paved, and it has its own problems with the numerous potholes, the infamous potholes at this point, all the way down that road leading out to Starbase, with the thousands of trucks and heavy vehicles that are moving up and down that road every single day. Looks like we're getting really close to Masseys Way at this point. The SpaceX team's getting a good workout as they walk alongside the ship down Highway 4, the several-mile trek to the Masseys test site. And, you know, as we approach these road signs here and the vehicles parked on the side of the road, it gives such a fantastic impression of just how big this vehicle is. This is a 9-meter wide, pretty much 50-meter tall ship on top of a huge stand, which is just casually making its way down a public highway in South Texas, which is pretty mind-boggling to think about. And a nice little entourage of Cybertrucks following as well in the background. But anyways, as Ship 39 makes its way closer to the Masseys test site, I am going to hand back over to the safe hands of the one, the only Chris Bergin, joining us once again for this stream. Hello, Chris.
I don't know about safe hands. Maybe when I was youngster, a goalkeeper, I was quite good at safe hands then, but not now, not anymore. Thank you, Ryan. Very much appreciated with the interlude of CRS 33 on docking as well. We've had all sorts of going on. We've been to McGregor. We're at Masseys right now. And this is a view where we're going to see a real close but personal view of Ship 39. This is always my favourite view when it's doing a Masseys turn, because this is going to be really cool to watch. So we're going to keep the questions coming. We've got lots of questions to go through still, but they've been very good questions in this stream. So credit to you, the community, for asking good questions. That's why we've got so many of them that we can ask, because they are good questions. But yeah, this part here is, help me out, Ryan. Where are we right now as far as the distance to go to Masseys?
We're about to turn into Masseys very, very shortly here. And then there's about a mile to get down Masseys Way, and then there's a little bit once they enter Masseys before they get to the static fire stand. So it should be turning like any second now here.
Skill involved in this. This is not easy. These are 2 independent SPMTs, and they're going to do a turn with all those wheels, and there's literally a guy with a controller box behind them on the walking on the road and steering this thing, this massive object on 2 of these SPMTs. This is, I would love to do it, but I would make a complete mess of it. Oh, SPMT noises. I do like the noise of the SPMTs.
It's a bit more noble.
Noble.
God, I completely butchered the line. Nimble. Oh my God, my brain is mush. It's still a bit more nimble than SLS on the mobile launcher in Crawler Transporter too. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah,
this is
a little bit.
what we were talking before, that you can look up, but you will see nothing.
Don't look up.
The
Don't
underside
look up.
of the platform there, that access platform to underneath the ship. But yeah, you cannot see upskirt essentially. So
yeah, I did hear the reference about not looking up earlier, and I did get reminded of the silly movie that was on Netflix. Don't look up. Don't look up. What a great view. And by the way, well done. Whose camera is this? Carson. Who's producers? CP11. Oh, CP11. Oh, CP11. Our famous CP11.
You're the one and only.
it's
It is.
CP11.
And no surprise, because I'm going to praise it, because look at the way it's keeping the internet going, despite this massive steel object going right past it. That's
we
not
should
easy.
check out now Google Maps and see it go from red to green.
Yeah, it'll go red for the. It'll take a little bit to change, but it'll go to green now.
What if we see a lot of drivers waving their hands going, get out, finally get out of the way. Awesome stuff. And we're getting some good views of the TPS here, despite the dust. We're going to get some good views of the TPS, which I think is looking spectacular. I really do
We're
think
getting
it's
dusted
spectacular.
here by those
Yeah.
SPMTs.
Someone's going to get a wipe. Oh,
Burning rubber.
Cybertruck photobomb. There's so many Cybertrucks. You know, people who are regulars to Starbase Live will know how many Cybertrucks at Starbase right now. There's so many of them. There's literally hundreds, and I'm not even joking or exaggerating. There's hundreds of Cybertrucks which got delivered truck by truck. And there's one actually following. So they're utilising those Cybertrucks. Now we're talking about future cadence of all these ships we're going to be seeing launching. One facility at Starbase is going to help that is the Gigabay. Ryan, I've got a question here. Question about the Gigabay. There we go. How many levels will it be when completed? I hear progress mentioned very often, but not the goal and finish mark. Thanks.
Well, based off the FAA filings for the tower cranes, it should reach final height sometime in August this year. So there's still a ways to go. They just started on level 4, and then they have to start on level 5, and level 5 is basically 2 half columns to make a full. And then that's when we will start seeing the little tabs for the bridge cranes, because those are starting to appear up at Roberts Road now. So we can kind of see where they're going to do bridge cranes. It looks like it's going to be at least 1 or 2 400-ton bridge cranes along the transfer aisles. And then we can also see how they're going to do smaller bridge cranes over the stacking stations. So SpaceX already has all that laid out, which is cool to see. But it's going to be a couple of months until the steel is finished for that. Roberts Road should finish a little bit earlier than that. I don't remember what the FAA filing is on that, but I wouldn't be surprised if the steel is mostly finished on that by the summer, because that one was started earlier. And then they got to put all the cladding up. They got to do all the internal electrical, HVAC, plumbing, build all the work platforms, workstations, bring the turntables in, install the elevators. There is a ton of internal work to finish that structure. And the gigabays aren't going to be done and 100% operational for at least a couple of years. Probably until 2028, 2029, until they're fully operational and done. Just to say this, they're still not done making work stands for the Star Factory in Starbase right now. They're still not done. They're still kitting that out. And that's not even counting the Star Factory they have to build at Roberts Road. So
I was going to say, because
yeah,
they're still doing work inside the mega base to outfit them. And also the fact that yeah, and also the fact that they had to transition midway, because they built the mega base, right? Mega Bay 1 was built when both ship and booster were like version 1, right? Mega Bay 2 was started to be built when version 2 was around, but they also had to change things for version 3. And so, because they had to change things for version 3, they're still modifying stuff, if I'm not mistaken, right? At least on Mega Bay 1, if I'm not mistaken.
You know how
version 3.
You know how old Mega Bay 2 actually is?
How old?
The first ship that rolled into Mega Bay 2 was Ship 31.
26?
Well, I think it was either it might have been Ship 26 or Ship 31. It was one
I know
of the
that
two.
Ship 26 got its engines, I think, inside that bay.
Yeah,
or
it did.
got them removed, something like that.
Man,
they finished that bay before Block 2 ever existed.
Yeah.
But they definitely have a leap they need to make in production. And it kind of goes along with Gigabay. Gigabay has to get finished and completed. And then they have to integrate that with Star Factory and then build another Gigabay at Starbase and probably at least another 2 or 3 Gigabays at Roberts Road along with the Star Factory.
I understand them. This is a bit too personal, I guess, but in my family, we got our own house built by ourselves, right? And it's the same thing where it's like you build the basic structure and everything, but then fully outfitting everything, it takes a while. I remember living in that house for like 2 years after it was built, and it was still like some things were still not complete. Like, I can completely understand them because it does feel like that. I don't know. I just got that sort of that memory in my brain, because it's like it does feel like it. Like you move in and you still have boxes still with things for moving in, even like 2 years after or something like that, right? Doesn't that happen sometimes to us? It's a classic.
I'm too busy just realising we've got a new Alex fact there, that Alex family built their own house. Amazing.
Well, yeah, when I was a kid, yeah.
Oh, fair enough.
spreadsheet fast.
Max. Crayon leadership. Hang on. First of all, I want to know what the inventiveness of thinking up. I need a YouTube username. I know, Crayon Leadership. That works.
Deep Pod Dolphin. So
That's amazing. Well, yeah, Deep Dolphin is just. I think that's just Ryan's original Xbox username. Clean up towards the cleanup of Max Explosion Fund. Oh my God. That's all I can say to that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that is literally a super chat saying towards the cleanup of Max's explosion fund.
It was Max's fault.
Ship 36. Yeah.
It was
It's all
Max's
Max's
fault.
fault.
Yeah.
Speaking of Max's fault, hang on, I've got another one, Max. Gwen says Artemis 2 delay is Max's fault. He spent the whole flame trench saying he wanted an April launch. Is that true?
I have said that. I have publicly said that. Yes, for my own selfish reasons, I have said. For my own selfish reasons, for a daylight launch, I would like it to launch in April, but I think it'll launch in March, which turned out to be wrong. At least the latter half of that prediction was wrong. It's not launching in March. So yes, I do. I have always hoped that it would launch in April, as unlikely as that seemed at the time. But of course, SLS is going to SLS as it has so far.
Speaking of April. Etliu, again, I'm butchering names. I'm just terrible at pronouncing names. Will you address the FCC filing thingy? Possible April 7th net and Simlink cameras. Well, April 7th sounds pretty reasonable, actually, to be fair. Ryan, Simlink cams. What's that about?
Yeah, so it sounds like SpaceX put a FCC filing in to request to be able to launch Starlinks off of, or at least Simlinks off of one of their flights. It's somewhere in between, April 7th and June 6th. So it's very likely Flight 12, maybe maybe it could go for Flight 13 as well if it launches within that window, or they extend it. But either way, they want to be able to put a communication piece on one of their Simlinks so they can probably talk back with the ship, and maybe put cameras to view the ship. All I will say is if they want to put cameras and view the ship, they can't really launch in the afternoon to do that because they'd be in night. So they would have to go back to morning launch, which we haven't had since Flight 5. So
what I find interesting of that file is seeing as so they say that the mass simulators, they will be talking to the SpaceX satellite constellation. So like they will be talking directly to Starlink satellites, but also to ground stations. So I do wonder what sort of ground stations they have downrange from Starbase after payload deployment, because we know at least payload deployment occurs rather early, like sort of over the Atlantic, right? Like where are they going to be talking to? Which satellites are they going to... Like, it's really interesting to me, that part. And also that apparently it's part of testing deployment mechanism. At least that's what the narrative talks, sort of explains this thing. It's weird, but I'm really interested to see what exactly they're trying to also test here with these communications.
Very good. Oh, some SPMT fans. Everyday Design, you're absolutely right by saying that the SPMTs are coupled together for control. Yeah, I can imagine if they were independent, as I classed them as, they would be all over the place. That would be dangerous. But of course, yeah, they are coupled together, but it's still skill. It's still big skill. I remember the orbital launch mount for Pad 2 being rolled out, and they got stuck in the mud a little bit. And they were literally raising one wheel by one wheel on one side on one of the SPMTs to clear this muddy part. It was amazing watching it do it. They're doing it, but they got through it, and it was just like pure skill. What happened to Shuttle Sunday? That will be returning. We were going through the missions. We got to about 29 missions in. And then my OBS, which is my the way of streaming the photos and videos that I collect out of L2 to show on the show, was starting to have like bad artifacts and stuff like that. It worked out as my laptop dying. I've now moved OBS onto my main PC, which can do... I've been testing on Raptor sites and what have you. It seems all right, so we now know it's okay. The next thing I need to do is to collect the resources for the next Shuttle Sunday show, which is several hours of work. I mean, I'm downloading photographs and videos from L2 and stuff. It takes forever to get them into folders, into order, into sections such as pre-launch, launch, mission itself, and landing. and then do the show with Sawyer. So that's the process. I just don't get it. I haven't got that much spare time in the day to do that yet. But as soon as I do, they'll return. But they are going to return. That's the main point. Ghost of Ship 26. What a username. Are the SPMTs electric or gas and diesel? Ryan?
They have a. I think it's a gas power pack on the back. It's either gas or diesel power pack on the backside, which helps run it if I remember correctly. And then that helps power all the systems on board. So helps run the drives, helps control the hydraulics, which helps level it, and then turns it and everything. So yeah, I think I'm pretty sure it's diesel on the backside of it.
Right then, Max Bunky wants to know, what's everyone's honest prediction for what's going to happen on Flight 12? So we're going to go through everybody chat, join in on this one. What's your predictions? There's no poll answer here, it'll work, it'll fail. There's lots of things in between. So just post a one-liner on what you think Flight 12 will achieve. I was calling it Ship 12. What's going on there? Let's go back a few years.
Yeah, right.
Max,
SN12?
first, what's your predictions for Flight 12?
Honestly, I feel really optimistic about it. I don't have any sense of foreboding or angst like I did for Flight 1 or Flight 2, maybe even Flight 3, because at that point, just having the booster itself work was a big question mark. But obviously, Raptor 2 proved to be very reliable, and Super Heavy proved to be an absolute beast. And version 3 is just an evolution of, or no, should I say evolution or revolution? Because it is brand new, but it's built with the lessons learned from those first 2 generations of boosters. So I think Flight 12 is going to go really well. I think Booster 19 is going to do what it needs to do. It's going to make it all the way through Ascent. It might lose an engine at one point because brand new Raptor 3s, untested, not flown, so maybe 1 or 2 out at some point. But I think it'll survive staging, and I think ship will at least get to where it needs to. Whether or not they have any payload on board, like these sim links, remains to be seen. Well, I think we just covered that, didn't we? I think it'll be an overall success. They might not get to the Starlink sim deploy. That's a bit of a question mark still with this new design. But overall, I think it's all going to go very well, and ship will make it back down for a successful splashdown in the Indian Ocean, and the booster will come back and perform a soft splashdown in the Gulf.
Alex, your predictions for Flight 12?
Oh boy. Predictions. I really am not coming up with any predictions right now. And mostly because it's rather hard to predict. I do hope at least we see a booster flight good, like a good booster flight during ascent and hot staging and all that. The ship igniting all 6 engines, that will be quite good as well. If it gets into orbit, well, the almost orbit trajectory and all that, that will be amazing as well. But I'm not sure if we're going to get to that point, mostly because of how many things are changing, and also the fact that it's Raptor 3, etc., etc. I wouldn't be surprised even if it gets into sort of this almost orbit trajectory, if it does something like Ship 28 or Ship 35, where it lost attitude control and things like that. Because even that has changed. We were talking about some of the changes earlier in the stream, and one of the things that I pointed out is that there are more thrusters now, more vents essentially to control the ship. But more vents doesn't necessarily mean that you have backups or anything like that. It can probably mean like more of them fail, right? Like, something like that could happen. So I don't know. It's really hard to predict. I'm just gonna go into Flight 12, and be like, whatever it is, whatever happens. It's just like, just launch the thing and see what happens.
I'll say chat has gone full Borat. Great success. Very nice. Very nice. Great success. So
Very
that's
nice.
interesting. Very nice. Ryan, your thoughts on Flight 12?
I mean, it's to echo everything that Max and Alex have said. New ship, new booster, new pad, especially new booster. I think. Do I want it to be 100% successful? Of course I do. I want both vehicles to perform soft splashdowns. Although they may do like the hover thing with the booster and slam it down so that it blows up, so they don't have to go retrieve anything. They may do that maneuver with it. We'll see though. But as for what I think will happen, I think it gets past Seco. I don't know how well Ship will do. I think Ship. I should say. I think it gets past stage separation. That's what I should say. Hopefully, Ship gets past Seco. And then I'm curious to see how well the GNC holds with the new booster configuration. Although SpaceX GNC is pretty darn good, so I think it'll all work out fine. But I would just say I would not be surprised if there was a problem on Ascent with the booster. I would not be surprised.
Behave yourself, Ryan. It's going to be great success.
Great success. I honestly think that there's an overall mood of confidence towards the flight because both the ship and the booster have been built with lessons learned from all 11 previous flights and up to and including the hops. Oh, hell, is this might be Jack's footage from flight 12 or 11. Sorry.
Flight 11.
Yeah. So I think it isn't a flight 1 scenario where Starship was entirely unproven. Both vehicles have been built with the lessons learned from all 11 flights and hops so far of the program. So I think that's overall why I think there's obviously going to be some small things that come up with just how much new hardware is flying for the first time and is still unproven. But the overall design, I think, is going to do very well.
Yeah, I am feeling very positive about it because I don't know what it is. And it is a kind of spidey sense, but it feels like they're taking their time. And I don't mean that in a kind of like, lumbering around and delaying things like because they just don't know what they're doing. I feel like they completely know the plan, but they don't feel any schedule pressure. Schedule pressure is a horrible thing, by the way, for people who are new to spaceflight. You never want schedule pressure at any time. It just feels like more controlled, more refined, more. This is where we get things right. We're going past this phase now of just basically some blowing them up and see what happens. It feels now like they're in a new cycle with this Block 3, where they're going for the milestones of actual mission success. So it just feels that way. I've got no absolute proof of that. It's just the feeling I get from it, just from 20 odd years of covering this thing. So of spaceflight, that is, because it's not Starship. So it is interesting. But I've got a segue for you, Alex. Here, looking at the future of Starship, when are they going to go from launching Starlink simulators and Starlink satellites to actual big satellite deployments, like with the Chomper and things like that?
One of the problems with that is that I don't think we're gonna see that, at least until they are well into their program. And by this, I say this because there's been some stuff being sort of aired out in other media and everything, where apparently SpaceX might have told potential future customers on Starship that they need to come up with designs that are flat, potentially indicating that any sort of chomper design is probably not in the books anytime soon. And so that makes me think that they're going to stick with this for a while. There are a certain, don't get me wrong, there are a certain number of companies out there making big flat pack satellites. Cage Space, for example, is one of those. They've flown already some prototype versions of those satellites on Falcon 9 and things like that. So it's not like there are no companies out there doing these kind of designs. It's just that it feels to me that the chomper version of Starship that we've all seen in renders, it's amazing in renders. On paper might be less amazing. In reality, it may even be worse, right? I feel like it's a very complicated payload bay door to design, and that's probably why they are not focusing too much on that. To be honest, for the next maybe 3-4 years, they don't have a lot of let's say motivation, right, to develop anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
So
I mean,
yeah,
you're
version
right
3
because. Sorry, go back.
No, I was just gonna say, like, this feels a lot like Falcon 9's evolution from the very early Block 1 variant, kind of up to late Block 4 and Block 5 design. Starship is not, it isn't all in, I can't say the word, experimental anymore. It's not, and it can't be because of what they have to deliver now, both for NASA and their future commercial partners. Like this, it needs to work. They can't just fly it for the sake of flying it anymore. So I think with them having a more nailed down design, I think bodes a lot of confidence in how the program will perform over the next 2, 3, 4, 5+ years, with however version 3 evolves, and also onto version 4.
Yeah, Ryan, what's that truck?
That looks like a 1972. I think that's methane.
Oh,
I think that's a methane delivery. One sec.
interesting. Anyway, the thing I was going to bring out. The thing I was going to bring. Oh, there's another one. Hang on, what's that
that's
one, Ryan?
methane. It's the code on it. The code on it is 1972 with a flammable. That's methane. It's refrigerated liquid methane. So that has a liquid methane delivery in the.
And
and
that other one was nitrogen, right?
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
They're going to static fire with no engines. The point I think is important for people to understand is probably on the context of that question is they don't need to go after these big satellite launches. Starlink is going to be their bread and butter, and then there's data centers in space, and that's where Starship really comes in because it'll end up being cheaper than Falcon 9, but launching 4 times the payloads or whatever it is. So they're looking to get the use of Starship out and get that flight rate up and get that cadence up and get that experience up by launching their own Starlinks, which is their business case anyway. So it makes perfect sense. That is their priority, along with the HLS contracts and things like that. So that is the future. I don't think they're going to be going out, shopping for these big space telescopes just yet. Not there's any out there being built. So I mean, that's where we are with that. I want to thank some. Exactly. Yeah. I mean, Falcon 9. Everyone said that when Starship was launching, that Falcon 9 would be retired. There's no chance of Falcon 9 retiring anytime soon, is there, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole we get that question very often where it's like, oh, Starship is launched. Like we even got that like last year or the year before where it was like, but Starship is already launching. Why are they not slowing down Falcon 9's cadence? And it's like, well, first of all, they need to go into orbit with Starship, and even after that, and they start deploying satellites and whatnot, Starlink satellites and all that. It's not like they can just erase all of their Falcon 9 Starlink launches out of the way, right? Until at least Starship can launch at a really good cadence. It's not like they can just throw away all of those, right? Falcon 9 is a well-oiled machine right now.
There's also the problem on the Starlink front is if SpaceX still wants to, they want to do Starlink with Starship. They want to do tanker flights because of HLS and the moon base that they now want to build, that they seem to be really focused on, as well as eventually going to Mars, plus the data centers they want to build in orbit now. Now that's a lot of different major projects that require a massive amount of cadence. Like you're not talking like, a couple of launches here and there. The Starlinks alone is taking up it's taking up about 100, 120 Falcon 9 launches a year.
Yeah.
Just Starlinks. And Starship is going to want to replace that just so they can finish the constellation. And then not only that, Starship still has to keep going so they can replace all of the V2 mini sats with V3 sats and eventually probably V4 sats whenever they make those. Then the massive data center constellation they want to make, plus all the tanker flights they want to make, and the cargo flights to the moon they want to make, and crewed flights to the moon they want to make, and then Mars.
Ryan, hourly launches in 3 years.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, no, you joke, Alex. No, you joke, and I was going to go there. You beat me to it. You read my mind. That is what they're envisioning for Starship, and people laugh, but that is envisioning. And while it might not be that much of a cadence every 3 hours, we did laugh at things
every
like
hour.
Falcon 9's launching at the cadence they're launching now, and the reuse they're in the 30s. We all like, oh, they might get 10. They might get 10. They might even get
But
to
it took
20.
15 years for Falcon 9 to be at this cadence. Like,
I know, but
it's not like they did this in 3 years. Like,
But it was
like
also,
Elon
but
is
it was
saying.
also that was also the first rocket to do it, and the first one to do anything always takes longer than every other program, more often than not, that follows.
Yeah,
I still don't think it's going to take 3 years. I wouldn't be surprised if it takes like a decade, but hourly launches, like a launch every single hour of Starship in 3 years.
So
I can see maybe weekly launches by then.
Yeah.
But oh man, I think it's too fast.
Go on, Ryan.
As we mentioned before, they still have to build Gigabay at both sites, and that's not even the only Gigabay they have to build, because 1 Gigabay is not enough, not even remotely enough for the case. And plus the Star Factories they still have to build and then kit out. The fact that they still have the launch pads to build and then make sure that they can actually do that kind of a cadence on those launch pads. They still have to find out how well the launch pad works. They haven't even launched from this pad yet. They don't know how well it works. You can do sims all the live long day, but you don't know how well it works yet. And then not only that, the logistics of the propellant. So just to say, the ASU they're building in Starbase can do about 900 tons of liquid oxygen a day. That's how much it can produce. Now, a single launch is what? 16, it's like 2,000, no, like 2,600 metric tons of liquid oxygen. Wait, no, it's way more than that. It's like 3,500 or something like that, because it's a total of like 5,000 tons. But so you need like multiple ASUs lined together, and that would just be for 1 launch a day. Never mind 1 launch an hour. You're talking, I don't even know how many ASUs you would need. You would have to go to Lind and say, hey, can you make the 9,000 ton of LOX a day ASU? Because they can make those. But you'd have to go to them and make that. And make a few of them. You would need like 2 of those to do... No. I had to do this math in my head. You need like 4 of those.
No.
We need a video for this.
Yeah, we're not
you
here
need
for
like
this.
a video to break this all down.
I know,
But
yeah. There's a 15-minute Ryan Webber video script in this somewhere. I can feel it. I can feel it.
Right now.
You go, well, let's go through all the challenges. And you go, well, the ASU needs line. We're going to run out of camera views from Masseys. Look at this is Rocket Ranch providing us a great view. Rocket Ranch, I'd like to give them a shout out. I've got the command in chat, in fact. Let me do it. Hang on one second. Ranch. Because they are good peoples, as Jack would say. Good peoples. And I guarantee you, even if we didn't know them, and I just basically found out from somebody else, it's where I would be staying for a Starship launch. It is amazing. It's an amazing spot and a great facility and absolutely awesome. You get to see Starship launches. I mean, come on. Who doesn't like that? If you're in this stream, I'm guaranteeing you're probably into that sort of thing. I'm guaranteeing you're not just wandering in from nowhere thinking, what's this big silver thing? Most of you will know that's a cool thing to go and watch and launch. The Rocket Ranch is definitely worth checking out. Right, I want to basically make sure I thank these people because we've had so many good questions. It's been a really good stream, by the way. That's thanks to you, the community. The questions have been fantastic. Cloud. Have many of these towers been removed, damaged on purpose? It'd be nice to see a full heat shield for once. I think it looks pretty full. Have we noticed any of them that have been removed there? Just from visual observations?
There's only a few small ones here and there, and I think they're just due to when they were lifting some of the small ones on the aft flaps that are missing when they had to lift and install the aft flaps. And I think there's one on each side of the forward flaps, but those will likely get filled in.
Very good. And also thank you to a store message. You got a what? I can't see it. I can't read it. Someone,
Nice.
Can you read what's on the screen?
It is a Blame Helium mug.
Ah, cool. That's awesome. We've had a lot of fun with with leaks and stuff. on the SLS side, shall we say. So that's where that merch range came in. And I think it's a cool little fun insider joke, which your friends will go, why have you got a mug saying blame helium? And then you can talk to your friend about SLS. That's an excuse. It's a great little segue to your friends and family. Thomas Kerr, 123. Do we know if the Raptor 3s are in Mega Bay already? We do know there are Raptor 3s for the booster being installed on Booster 19. So there's definitely Raptor 3s inside Mega Bay 1. I think that I don't know what the latest count was, but I got the first two and I put it on. We were basically covering it, and someone put it out there on X, and I was like, "Oh, great, yeah!" So we're going to get a running commentary from RL2 now. But we do know they're making good progress on that. I don't know how far they are at right now, but obviously they've got Raptor 3s in Mega Bay 1 because they started installing them on Booster 19. D. Cranston, have you guys ever thought about investing in a boy cam in the ocean? Is it boy or buoy? Americans leave that the other way around as well.
We say buoy. Yeah.
Buoy. Okay, right. Buoy camera out there in the ocean. Are there regulations? Max, could we just literally stick one in the ocean, or would you need special permissions for that?
Oh God, I am not the most well versed in the legalities of having a camera out there on a buoy. I don't want to say something that isn't true, but we have talked about it. Yeah, I know, right? This is totally a DOS question, but we've of course talked about it before. Like we just like tossing it around conversation, but I have no idea how one would go about that, to be honest.
Yep. Oh, Ryan says we've got some pictures from Caesar where we can have some nice little close-up. Let's talk about these photographs here and what observations you see here, Ryan.
Oh,
yeah. Well, I'll Alex. I'll start off with we see the uncovered raceways there on either side of the QD. It's a redesigned QD. There's some added reinforcements near the vents, which are a newly redesigned vent structure compared to Block 2. The new reinforcements, those were first found on S39.1 due to the testing that they did on that test tank. So they're already making mods to the ships. They've got you get a lot of cables here, hook up for testing and everything. You can even see the new 4 engine chill lines that are on each side, Alex, and you can see how the 4 expansion loops comes down and wraps around there. I don't know why there's 4 per side. It is kind of odd on that one. Yeah, those right there.
I'm gonna guess 2 for methane, 2 for oxygen.
Yeah, and then I guess it's split off there might be a manifold on the inside between the engines to split off, so that's a possibility. There's just a lot of little things on this. It's really cool to see it without the air covers, but you can see all the different outlets for the auto gens that split. One side's LOX, one side's methane. It's really cool to see this, and I know we have one that's up near the payload bay as well, where you can see the top of the raceways. And there you go. It's really cool to see all the different high pressure lines that go into the nose cone, payload bay.
It almost looks like biologic in the way it's been designed.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting because there's a part on the raceway there where you can see it looks like there's some like really small lines that loop over and then loop back over. It looks like they did like a slight expansion loop in some of the high pressure lines and then brought them back up. It's really cool to see. I'm glad the air covers aren't on because then we wouldn't get to see this if they were on. So it's really cool to see this. We can trace lines and see, what's methane, what's helium, what's oxygen or whatever. It's really cool to see that. So.
I just see an angry robot.
I see.
That's just me.
Oh
though.
my God, I see it now too, and you can't unsee it.
You'll not unsee it now. No, I'm sorry. Angry robot face. A grimacing robot. There we go. That's what I've got. Luckily, someone in chat is also on a robot face, so it's not just me with my mental brain issues that's seen things. It's an angry robot. Anyway, more thanks because it is nearly at Masseys now, and we are planning to have a Raptor side in 90 minutes time. So we're going to be doing some more chat as well. But Jeff Row has done a gifted Red Team membership. So thank you for that. And if you did get a gifted membership during this stream and you're going, what the heck happened there? Why am I green? Why am I getting extra membership content? It's because of the generosity of our community. As has Ekarukun, which I can't pronounce, has become a Padrat member. Welcome. Captain Q2604 has a useful payload to orbit this year. That's what we're hoping for. So we're looking for orbital, we're looking for useful payload, being Starlinks, for example, and then we're looking for the in-flight refilling objective for HLS. That's what we hope for this year. Two things from the store. You've got the original launch mount sticker and the logo sticker sheet. There we go, according to my panel here. Hi guys, you're doing? Thanks for all you do with these streams. Takes so much work. You guys do it so well. Anyways, what part of Flight 12 are you most looking forward to? Oh my God, there's a big question at the end of this. But thank you for your support, by the way. That actually was something we were looking forward to, the objectives and hoping what the success ratio will be for Flight 12. So we were covering that earlier before that came in. So thank you for your support, by the way. And thanks for getting things from the store, because that's a great way of supporting us. I'm getting very excited about Caesar's photographs there of the ship, because that means Caesar will be sending me a folder later with lots of photographs I can put in L2 for the members. So there we go. They always like the photographs. There we go. Little segue for the L2 sections there, because L2 is where we literally fire hose you with all the content we do. But you can keep in touch with everything we're putting forward, such as Raptor coming up with our socials. So it's not just X, because I tend to gravitate towards the X side of things because I post on there. But we've also got Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the other social medias. Facebook is our best one. Facebook really is cool. I said it before on Raptor Sides that our Facebook page is better than our X page, because our team who look after that put more content in there than I put on the X feed. X is kind of like, oh, there's a stream coming. Oh, something's happening. Something's rolling. Oh, there's this coming up. You know, that's what I tend to use X for. It's like fast turnaround, but Facebook is more in depth. That's why we do it. We like to spread it. We don't copy and paste. There's no copy and pasting involved. So thanks for that as well. Also, thank you to the people who've been on before my brain dies. The people who've been on the stream with me. Starting with Alex. Hello. Thank you, Alex.
It's been a pleasure as usual. Hopefully we get some nice testing out of this.
Indeed. Thanks also to Max. Thank you, Max.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's great. It's finally great to see some ship action or just vehicle action back in Starbase again.
We've had the two Ryans. Thanks to Ryan Caton earlier for being on during the CRS 33 undocking stream from the ISS. That was a nice little segue to something extra during this actual live stream of Ship 39 rolling to Masseys. And thank you to the other Ryan, Ryan Webber. Thank you, Ryan.
It's a pleasure as always, Chris. It's always fun to get on, talk Starship, and finally have a Block 3 ship out at Masseys, or at least it's almost there. Very, very close. And I am really curious to see the testing they do with this thing over the next week or two. So we'll see how long it stays out here for.
Yes, I did see that in chat. I do read live chat. I'm told they always tell you to read the panel and watch the live feed. That's basically broadcast in front of our eyes, but I'm notorious for having the actual YouTube stream on like everybody else in here. And yes, we do need to remember to post the Raptor sides onto our member area. Remember, if you miss a Raptor side, it's okay. You've got 12 hours at least to rewind and go back if you need to. So we will try and remember to record them as well there. So I did see that comment in chat. I do appreciate it. We will try and make sure we do that. Who else did I have to thank? Someone else. I'm sure I had to thank somebody else, Ryan. Who was it else? Who else is involved in this stream? The producer. That's who. Yes, I'm terrible. I'm terrible for missing out the producer. Carson has been producing this stream, and at short notice, because we were thinking it's going to be a late night role last night where Kevin Michael Reid was going to have to produce it because it was his time zone, but nope, he wouldn't be able to do this one. So Carson stepped up. When 10 minutes to go, I go, hang on a minute, who's going to be producing this stream? Carson goes, hi. So thanks to Carson for an excellent production job on this stream. Multi-stream as well, because we had the CRS 33 undocking, and that allowed us to do this coverage. Thanks to Caesar out in the field, Colleen out in the field, and Gage out in the field, helping us get these great cam reviews and also the photographs that we've been showing during this stream as well. So great team involved in this all over the country, all over the world, and actually at Starbase itself. There we go. Now, I'm notorious for long-winded sign-offs. Yes, I'm notorious for it. So I'm going to say thank you for joining us, and in 90 minutes time we'll do a Raptor side on Space Coast on Starbase Live, even not Space Coast Live, Starbase Live, to chat some more. So if you want to do a bit more chats, more questions, go into Starbase Live in 90 minutes time. Until then, thanks for joining us, and goodbye.
And here we go.
There's the deluge. Here's ignition.
Doubling up.
Did you just do a Kerbal?
Back to the moon and beyond.
Put that in the big bag, you know.
Back at home, we all have a lot of work to do, but from here, that sure looks like a perfect world.
Propulsion continues to be nominal.
We did have an observation.
Equalize.
343 unfolds to go.
It's orange.
Water towers can fly! Bingo! Right in the center.
Where's Jacqueline? There it is!
That was surreal.
That's not what we want to see.
No!
Oh my God.
Yikes. You bet. We don't need any more of these.
I can't believe the sleep apnea pillow exists, so I almost made the dumbest mistake of my life. I got this contour pillow called Dorila Ergo, but honestly, I was ready to return it. I didn't expect it to make such a difference in how easily I could breathe at night, but before I was going to ship it back, I figured I'd give it a